And we got a recording. Hopefully, I don't screw this up. Chances are you are on a YouTube channel. And if you are on a YouTube channel, that means you agree to the YouTube terms of service. But what exactly did you agree to? Today, I'm going to read the YouTube terms of service. So, I'm going to start. 1. Your relationship with YouTube. Your use of the YouTube website, the website, and of all YouTube products, channels, software, data, feeds, and services, including the embedded YouTube video player, the YouTube video player that YouTube places you on, from or through the website. Jointly, the service will be subject to the conditions of a legal agreement between you and YouTube. YouTube means the entity that operates the service in the European Economic Area and Switzerland, which is Google Ireland Limited, a company established and operating under the laws of Ireland, with registration number 368047. Domiciled at the Gordon House, Barrow Street, Dublin 4, Ireland. The entity that operates the service in the European Economic Area in Switzerland, which is Google Ireland Limited. 1.2. Your legal agreement with YouTube is made up of A. The terms and conditions set forth in this document, and B. The YouTube community rules. Collectively, the terms and conditions. The terms and conditions constitute a legally binding contract for you and YouTube regarding your use of the services. Our privacy policy explains how we treat your personal data and how we protect your privacy when using the service. It is important that you read the terms and conditions and the privacy policy carefully. The terms and conditions apply to all users of the service, including those users who also provide content on the service. Content includes the text, software, scripts, graphics, photos, sound, music, videos, audio-visual conversations, interactive functionalities, and other materials that you can view in, or access through, or contribute to the service. 2. Attempts to the terms and conditions. In order to use the service, you must first accept the terms and conditions. You may not use the services if you do not accept the terms and conditions. You can accept the terms and conditions by simply using the services. You acknowledge and agree that YouTube will consider that your use of the services constitutes acceptance of the terms and conditions from the beginning of such use. You may not use the services or accept the terms and conditions if A. You are not legally qualified to enter into a binding contract with YouTube, or B. You are prohibited or legally excluded from receiving or using the services by virtue of the legislation of your country of residence from which you access or use the services. We recommend that you print or save a local copy of the terms and conditions on your files. 3. Changes to the terms and conditions. YouTube reserves the right to make changes to the terms and conditions of any time, for example, to deal with changes in the law, regulations, and changes in the features of the service. For this reason, you should review the terms and conditions regularly to check the modifications. The modified version of the terms and conditions, the modified terms and conditions will be published at http://www.youtube.com/t/terms or made available to you within the service for any additional modified terms. If you do not agree with the modified terms and conditions, you must stop using the service. Your continued use of the service after the modified terms and conditions have been published will constitute your acceptance of the modified terms and conditions. 4. YouTube accounts. In order to access certain features of the website or other elements of the services, you will need to create a YouTube account. When creating your account, you must provide certain correct and complete information. It's important that you keep your YouTube account password secure and confidential. You must notify YouTube immediately of any breach of the security rules or any unauthorized use of your YouTube account on which you are aware. agree to be solely responsible against YouTube and other third parties for all activity that takes place on your YouTube account. 5. General restrictions on use. 5.1. YouTube authorizes you to access and use the services, subject to the specific conditions indicated below, and you agree that your failure to comply with any of these conditions will constitute a breach of these terms and conditions in your part. A. You agree not to distribute any part of the website or the services, including but not limited to the content, through any means without the prior written authorization of YouTube, except in the event that YouTube puts its provision means for such distribution through a functionality offered by the service, such as the YouTube video player. B. You agree not to alter or modify any part of the website or the services, including but not limited to the YouTube video player and its related technologies. C. You agree not to access the contents using any technology or media other than the video playback pages of the website itself, the YouTube video player, or any other means that YouTube explicitly designates for this purpose. D. You agree not to bypass, deactivate, or manipulate in any other way, or try to avoid, deactivate, or manipulate the security functions of the services of other functions that 1. Prevent or restrict the use of or copy of the contents, or 2. That the limitations apply to the use of the services or the contents offered through the services. E. You agree not to use the service, including YouTube video player, for any of the following commercial purposes unless you have obtained prior written authorization from YouTube. Resale of access to the service. The sale of advertising, sponsorship, or promotions placed on or within the service or content. The sale of advertising, sponsorship, or promotions on any page of a blog that allows advertisements, or a website that allows content delivered through the services unless other material not obtained from YouTube appears on the same page and is of sufficient value to serve a basis of such sales. F. Prohibited commercial uses do not use 1. Loading an original video on YouTube, 2. Maintaining a original channel through the website to promote a business or activity, 3. Show YouTube videos through the player YouTube video or in any other way, or a vlog or a website that allows ads, subject to the restrictions set forth in 5.1. E. 3. Above, and 4. Any use that is expressly authorized in writing to YouTube. G. If you use the YouTube video player on your website, you may not modify, rely on, or block any portion of functionality of the YouTube video player, including but not limited to the links back to the website. 8. You agree not to use or activate any automated system, including without limitation any robot, spider, or offline reader that accesses the service so that it can send more request messages to YouTube service in a specific time interval from which a natural person could reasonably process in the same time interval using a publicly available and general web browser. I. You agree not to collect personal data from any user of the service or the services, including YouTube account names. J. You agree not to use the website or the services, including comments and email functions of the website, to offer services in the condition with a commercial activity. K. You agree not to offer services for commercial purposes to the users of the website to respect of its content. L. You agree not to access the content from any purpose other than personal, non-commercial use only as intended and permitted by the normal operation of the services, and only for streaming. Streaming means a competent digital transmission of YouTube material over the internet to a device operated by a user and enabled to the internet in such a way that what is intended by the data be viewed in real time and not downloaded, both permanent as temporarily, copied, restored, or redistributed by the user. M. You must not copy, reproduce, distribute, transmit, broadcast to the public exhibit, sell, license, or in any other way exploit any content for any purpose without the prior written consent of YouTube or the respective licensors of the content. 5.2. You agree to comply with all other propositions of the terms and conditions and the YouTube community guidelines at all times using the services. 5.3. YouTube allows public search engine operators to use spiders to copy materials from the site for the sole purpose of creating such indexes of materials available to the general public, although such materials may not be cached or other files. YouTube reserves the right to revoke these exceptions in general or in specific cases. YouTube is constantly innovating in order to offer its users the best possible experience. You acknowledge and agree that the form of nature of the services provided by YouTube may vary at any time without prior notice. As part of this process of constant innovation, you acknowledge and agree that YouTube may need to interrupt, permanently or temporarily, the provision of the services, or any function thereof, for you or to users in general, such as consequence of operational requirements such as those related to the security of the services, your security as a user, or maintenance needs of the services. You must stop using the services at any time and will not be required to report it specifically to YouTube. You acknowledge being solely responsible, without YouTube assuming any responsibility to you or any third party for breach of your obligations under the terms and conditions and the consequences, including any losses or damages that YouTube may incur, deprived from said breach. 6. Copyright policy. YouTube applies a clear copyright policy in relation to the content that allegedly infringes the copyright of a third party. You can check the detailed information of this policy at http://www.youtube.com/t/copyright_notice. As part of YouTube's copyright policy, YouTube will terminate access to the service of any user considered a repeat infringer. A repeat offender is a user who has been notified of the offending activity more than twice. 7. Content. As the owner of a YouTube account, you may submit content. You understand that regardless of whether such content is posted, YouTube does not guarantee any confidently with respect to content. You will continue to be the owner of the rights related to your content, although you must grant limited license rights in favor of YouTube and other users of the services. These rights are described in Section 8 of their Terms and Conditions, rights that you grant under license. You acknowledge and agree to be solely responsible for its content and the consequences of its publication. YouTube does not subscribe to any content or any opinion, recommendation, or advice expressed in relation thereto, expressly excluding any liability related to the content. You represent and warrant that you are the owner, and will continue to be the owner while using the services, of all licenses and all rights, contents, and permissions that are required to allow YouTube to use content for the purpose of providing the service and for any other purpose in accordance of the form completed by the service in those terms and conditions. You declare that your conduct on the website and the creator of all its content will comply with the YouTube community guidelines, which can be found at http://www.youtube.com/t/community_guidelines in your current version at all times. You agree not to publish or upload any content that contains material whose possession is illegal for you in your country of residence, or whose user's possession is illegal for YouTube in connection with the provision of the services. You agree that the content you provide to the service will not contain material subject to intellectual property rights of third parties or material subject to other industrial property rights of third parties, including exclusive rights or advertising. unless the owner of these rights has guaranteed you a formal license or authorization, or is legally authorized in any other way to publish the material in question and to grant YouTube the license indicated in Section 8.1 below. Upon becoming aware of any breach of those terms and conditions, YouTube preserves the right, although not required, to decide whether the content meets the content requirements simulated in these terms and conditions, and may remove such content and or cancel the access of any user to upload content that violates these terms and conditions at any time, without prior notice and in their sole choice. Likewise, you acknowledge and understand that by using the services, you may be exposed to objectively inaccurate, offensive, indecent, or questionable content for you. Under this document, you waive to exercise any right or legal action and inequality that may respond against YouTube and with respect to any content. YouTube will treat any audio or audiovisual content that you upload to the service with accordance of YouTube's conditions for data processing, www.youtube.com/t/terms_data processing, except in cases where you have uploaded such content for personal purposes or for domestic activities. You can get more information here. support.google.com/youtube/ $P equals data_applicability. 8. Rights you grant under license. By uploading or posting content on YouTube, you will be granting A. In favor of YouTube, a worldwide non-exclusive royalty-free and transferable license with sub-license right to use, reproduce, distribute, perform derivable works of, display, and execute that content in relation to the provision of the services and with the operation of the service and YouTube activity, including without limitation for the responsive promotion and redistribution of all or part of the service and its derivative works in any format and through any communication channel. B. In favor of each user of the service, a worldwide, non-exclusive, and royalty-free license to access its content through the service and to use, reproduce, distribute, perform derivative works of, display, and execute said content to the extent as of permitted by the functionality of the service and in accordance with these terms and conditions. The above licenses granted by you with respect to user videos will be cancelled when you delete your user videos from the website. The previous licenses granted by you with respect to user comments are perpetual and irrevocable. I think that's how it's pronounced. Without prejudge to your property rights, whose ownership will correspond to you at all times in accordance with the provisions of Section 7.2 above. 9. YouTube content on the website. With the exception of the content provided to the service by you, all other content on the service will be owned by YouTube or will correspond to you under a license and will be subject to copyright, trademark, and other intellectual property rights and industrial YouTube or YouTube licensors. All trademarks and service marks of other third parties presenting the contents not uploaded or published by you will be trademarks and service marks of their respective owners. Said contents may not be downloaded, copied, reproduced, or distributed, transmitted, disseminated, displayed, sold, licensed, or operated by any other purpose without the prior written consent of YouTube or YouTube licensors. In the event to be applicable, YouTube and its licensors reserve all rights that have not been expressly granted with respect to their content. 10. Links on YouTube. The services may include hyperlinks to other websites that will not be owned or controlled by YouTube. YouTube does not control the contents, privacy policies, or practices of other third-party websites or assume any responsibility for them. You acknowledge and agree that YouTube will not be responsible for the ability availability of external websites or resources, and does not subscribe to any type of advertising, products, or other materials offered through such websites or resources. You acknowledge and agree that YouTube will not be liable for losses or damages that you may incur as a result of the availability of the aforementioned websites or external resources, or as a result of the credibility you grant to completeness, accuracy, or existence of any type of advertising, products, or other materials offered such said websites or resources. YouTube recommends that you pay attention when you leave the services and when you read the terms and conditions and the privacy policy of all other websites you visit. 11. Ending your relationship with YouTube. The terms and conditions will continue to apply until they are resolved, all at the request of you or YouTube in accordance with the following provisions. If you wish to terminate your legal contract with YouTube, you may do so by notifying YouTube at any time or by closing your YouTube account. Your notice must be sent in writing to the YouTube address indicated by the beginning of those terms and conditions. YouTube may terminate its legal contract with you at any time if A. You violate any of the provisions included by the terms and conditions, or act in a manner that clearly indicates that you intend to do so, or that you will not be able to comply with the provisions of the terms and conditions, or YouTube is obliged to do so by law. For example, when the provisions of the services to you is or becomes illegal, or YouTube may terminate its legal contract with you if YouTube stops providing the services to users in your country of residence from you use the services, or B. The provision of the services by you or YouTube ceases to be in its opinion, commercially viable. And in the case of each of the assumptions A and B of clause 11.4, it must reasonably notify you of said resolution. Upon resolution of those terms and conditions, all legal rights of and obligations that apply to both you and YouTube, or may have occurred during the term of the terms and conditions, or whose validity may continue expressly and indefinitely. They will not be affected by said resolution, and the provisions included by Section 14.5 will continue to apply to said rights and obligations indefinitely. 12. Exclusion of guarantees. Nothing in the terms and conditions will affect the legal rights that will exist to you at all times as a consumer, of which you cannot contractually agree to any modification or waiver. The service is provided as is, and YouTube does not grant any warranty or make any statements in front of you with respect to them. In particular, YouTube does not express or warn that your use of the service will meet your requirements, your use of the services will be uninterrupted, timely, secure, or error-free, the information you obtain as a result of your use of the services will be correct or reliable, and defects in the operation of or functionality of any purpose provided as part of the services will be corrected. No conditions of warranties, including any implied warranties of satisfactory quality and fitness for a specific purpose or description, will apply to the services except as expressly prohibited in the terms and conditions. 13. Limitation of liability. Nothing in these terms and conditions will exclude or limit YouTube's liability for losses that cannot be legally excluded or limited under applicable law. Subject to the general provision included in Section 13.1 above, YouTube will not be liable to you for indirect or consequential losses that you may incur, including any loss of benefits, regardless of whether they originated directly or indirectly, losses of business, or corporate prestige, or loss of data suffered by you. Loss or damage that you may incur as a result of 1. The credibility you grant to use completeness, precision, or existence by any advertising material, or as a result of any relationship or operation between you and any publicist or sponsor whose advertising appears on the services. 2. any changes that YouTube introduces in relation to the services, or any permanent or temporary cessation of the provision of the services or any of its functions. 3. The elimination, corruption, or storage failure of any content or other communication, data maintained or transmitted through your use of the services. 4. Your lack of providing accurate account information to YouTube. And 5. Your lack of maintenance to the security and confidently of your password or YouTube account information. The limitations on YouTube's liability to you included in Section 13.2 above shall apply regardless of whether YouTube has been warned or shall have been advised of the possibility of the occurrence of such losses. 14. General provisions. The terms and conditions constitute the entire legal agreement between you and YouTube, govern your use of the services, and supersede all previous agreements between you and YouTube in relation of the services. You agree that YouTube may send you notifications, including those relating to changes of terms and conditions by email, regular mail, or such posting such modifications of the services. You agree that in the event that YouTube does not exercise any legal right or action contemplated in the terms and conditions, or that responds to it under applicable law, this will not constitute a formal waiver of YouTube's rights, remaining such rights and legal actions fully in force of YouTube. If a court with competent jurisdiction over this matter determines that any of the provisions of the terms of services is invalid, that provision will be removed from the terms and conditions without affecting the rest of them, meaning the remaining provisions fully enforce all its aspects. You acknowledge and agree that all members of the group of companies of which YouTube is a party will be third-party benefits of the terms and conditions, and that such companies will have the right to directly demand compliance with any provision of the terms and conditions where contemplate a benefit of them or some right in their favor. Apart from the aforementioned companies, no other person or company will be a third beneficiary of the terms and conditions. The terms and conditions and its relationship with YouTube in accordance to the provisions set forth herein shall be governed by the laws of Spain. I just read the YouTube terms of service and I stood there for like half an hour. Like the video, leave a comment of your favorite section of the YouTube terms of service, and subscribe because that was painful.